If you've ever struggled from any kind of addiction, whether it's an addiction to a substance or an addiction to a behavior pattern, I have compassion for you. Addiction is something that I have experienced since I was a young child, not personally, but in my family. And addiction can be really tough. It takes in some cases, a whole lifetime to heal it, depending on what the addiction is. I've worked with alcoholics, drug addicts, gambling addicts, sex addicts, and lots of other types of addicts. And in my experience, the addiction always goes back into the early years. And so I've only recently become fully aware of what I call my second oldest addiction. My first oldest addiction was actually a food addiction. It started around probably 8 years old after my parents split up. When my parents split up, my mother would give my brother and I junk food probably a lot more often than we should have gotten. Probably because she felt guilty about my dad and her being broken up. So I remember this one time I came home from school and my mother just gave me $50 and told me to go to the store across the road and get my brother and I as much junk food as we wanted. I remember getting, I think it was Doritos, a big bag of Doritos, some peanut butter cups, some pop, and whatever other snacks we had. But that's my first oldest addiction. And that food addiction eventually led to patterns of like bulimia, eating so much that my stomach would hurt and then I would throw up, and then sometimes I would even eat more afterwards. Now I've healed that addiction quite some time ago, but that would be my oldest addiction. My second oldest addiction is actually an addiction to work. It's an addiction to overworking. And I started this pattern in my teenage years. At 12 years old, my dad used to buy packs of cigarettes for me so I could sell them. I never smoked a cigarette in my life. As a kid, never smoked a cigarette. I've actually only even tried organic tobacco from Peru ever in my life. But as a kid, I would sell cigarettes at school at 12 years old. And by 13, I would sell stolen goods. And by the time I was 14 or 15, I was sometimes even selling drugs like cannabis or magic mushrooms. I started working at 16. I started working at McDonald's, and I was in the military. And at 17, I started working at a call center. And in this call center, I learned for the first time in my teenage years how to actually sell something. Once I figured out that I could create my own paycheck, or at least I could influence my paycheck. I was only working at a call center. I wasn't getting paid that much commission. I could influence my paycheck based on how hard I worked. And so I would work double shifts a lot of the times. I would start working at 10 in the morning and I would finish at midnight. Then I would go home, I would sleep for 6 or 7 hours, and then I would get up and I would go back to work again. I would do this 5 or 6 days a week. And I started creating this experience of validating myself based on how hard I worked. I would feel really good about myself for making all these sales, for achieving all of these goals, for putting in all these hours. I'd see my paycheck. It would be a really big paycheck at that time in my life. not in my standards now, but at that time in my life, it was a really big paycheck at 17. And that was when it started. And then when I became a professional mixed martial arts fighter, the workaholic pattern amplified even more. I was getting up at 5 in the morning to train at 6 in the morning. We did MMA training, then CrossFit, and then I'd work all day. Then in the evening, we would train again. And so my day would start at about 5 a.m. and it would end at about 8 p.m. Every day. Every day it would be a cycle over and over and over again. When I started opening my own businesses and own my own businesses, the same pattern was in my life again. I would overwork and overwork and overwork and overwork. And as the years went on, in my 20s, I could get away with it. In my 30s, I'm 36 now. In my early 30s, it started to weigh on me. My body started to get tense and sore all the time. I would be depressed and anxious and temperamental and miserable. And it started to weigh on me. So recently, as you probably heard, I launched my I launched my newest business, The Tribe. The Tribe is a social enterprise organization. We inspire superhuman rock star warriors to discover their truth, ignite their passion, and unleash their magic in the world. It's by far the most exciting business I've opened yet. I've opened over a dozen businesses. It's the most exciting business that I've opened yet. And so in the last few months, I've been slowly moving up into those workaholic patterns again. Now, I wasn't aware of these workaholic patterns fully until literally this week. I was a little bit aware of them. I was a little unconsciously aware of them, but they weren't fully conscious in my awareness. They weren't fully there. But this week, I caught myself in front of the computer for almost 8 hours in one day without even barely taking any breaks. I ate a little bit, stayed in front of the computer. My body was just aching from tension and pain, and I was exhausted. I was so exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I was miserable. I felt like crap. And then it dawned on me. I just had the realization. I'm slipping into those patterns again. And you know, when I was younger as a mixed martial arts fighter, the overworking mentality, it worked for me. It helped me fight 21 professional MMA fights all over the country, some for pay-per-view, some for championships. When I first started opening businesses, it worked for me because I could grind and build my businesses, and they would succeed. When I started doing the deep work, the healing work on myself 5 years ago, well, the same thing. You know, night after night after night, I would perform shamanic ceremonies, doing deep healing work on myself, healing traumas, healing past events, healing guilt and shame that I was holding on to. But now I'm at that point that every person gets to in their success journey, where what got me here won't get me to the next level. The pattern and the habit of overworking, it's not going to get me to that next level of success. In fact, it's the very thing that was holding me back from the next level of success. I realized that I became addicted to the chemicals, the neurochemicals that my brain and body released when I would overwork. See, there would be these two kind of darkness and light chemicals happening. I would have the dopamine and the serotonin from achieving goals and crossing things off my to-do list and getting things done. But then I would also have the stress, adrenaline, and cortisol cocktails happening at the same time. So I have these very positive and very negative neurochemicals running through my body as a result of overworking. So it became an addiction. I became addicted to the serotonin and the dopamine I would get from achieving tasks, but I was also addicted to the cortisol and adrenaline I would get from the stress of overworking. Now that's dangerous. That's dangerous. Because what happens is I just keep putting more on my plate. Even though I have a whole team now at the tribe that I can delegate to, what would happen is I delegate some tasks, and then with the new space, I would just take on more. So I would delegate some tasks, create space for myself, then take on more. I'd get up in the morning, I'd go right to this office here, I'd start doing my yoga, start doing my meditation, start doing my breath work. My relaxation techniques started to feel like they were causing me more stress and tension than the stressful and tense activities I was doing in my day. My relaxation, deep work techniques were actually causing me more stress because I wasn't taking real breaks for myself. I wasn't slowing down. I wasn't relaxing. I wasn't letting go. And so I realized that I had this belief. Actually, I had a couple of beliefs. One, I had a belief that I'm a workaholic, so I cleared that belief. I've been trained in some really powerful belief clearing techniques where I work with different pressure points in my body and different eye movement techniques that can help me clear beliefs once and for all. I had a belief that I have to sacrifice happiness in order to be successful. Wow, like what a belief that would be. I also had a belief that I have to sacrifice my relationships to be successful. And so these beliefs were causing me to overwork to the point where I would just crash. I would get burnt out. I'd have nothing left to give, and then I would feel miserable. So my second oldest addiction, the addiction of being a workaholic, is the addiction that's probably caused me the most amount of physical pain in my body. And the strange thing is, in the past, that addiction would also lead to my eating addiction that I had before. So overworking would cause all this stress, which would lead to me overeating, sometimes in the past even using cannabis. Not using cannabis in my life right now, not eating junk food either. But they would be my fallbacks. When I overworked and I got really stressed and really tense, my body started hurting, I just started eating junk food and I'd start smoking weed or using cannabis edibles, and that would balance me out a little bit. Or at least I thought so. Now I'm not using junk food. I'm on a really strict 40-day cleanse and I'm not using cannabis. So suddenly the workaholic patterns are very crystal clear to me. I can't hide them anymore. So the way I'm healing it is a few different ways, really. First of all, taking scheduled breaks, setting my phone, because I'm the kind of guy, I don't know if you can resonate with this, I'm the kind of guy that once I start, I don't stop sometimes. I could look at the computer and it's 2 o'clock, and then I look at it again and it's 6 o'clock, and I'm like, whoa, I must have been in a warp zone this whole time. Just in this like hyperdrive, going at 100 miles an hour, not even taking a break. So now I have to set a timer on my phone. I got that idea from Brendan Burchard in his book, High Performance Habits. Another thing I'm doing is forcing myself to take days off. And when I take days off, I put my phone, there's a setting on my phone where I can put it on what's called focus mode, where I shut off all my applications except for the most vital ones, like my phone, my text messaging, and my YouTube or something. Shut everything else off. Shut all my social media off. Shut my email off. Shut everything off that's going to cause me to slip back into working. And then the other thing, probably the hardest thing for me, is finding things that are fun that aren't work. I really love my work. I love my work. It feels like play a lot of the times. Coaching and leading and speaking, and I really enjoy it. Shamanic work, performing, even this, videos like this, I really love this stuff. But I have to find new ways to have fun. I have to find new ways to play. One of my favorite ways to learn how to play lately is board games. Board games are so much fun. Or watching, just once in a while, I'll watch a Star Wars episode, one of the Star Wars cartoons or one of the TV shows. So let me know in the comment section, have you ever struggled with a workaholic addiction? And if so, how have you overcome that addiction? What are some ways that you've started to heal this addiction for yourself? Because I know I'm not alone. I'm sure that many of you watching this video have suffered in some way or another from a workaholic addiction or an overworking addiction. So let me know, like, what's happened in your life as a result of this addiction? How have you healed it? Dr. Gabor Mate is an expert on addiction, and he admits that he even has struggled, and still struggles in some cases, with a workaholic addiction. And for me, I recognize that what was happening is, in my younger years, I was validating myself by working hard. It was making me feel good about myself because deep down, I didn't feel good about myself. And so now that I've done all the deep work that I've done, I can feel good about myself without working. So now it's just about breaking a habit. Now it's just about creating new habits that are healthy, that are aligned with who I know myself to be. So let me know in the comment section, have you struggled with workaholism and what have you done to heal it? And if you're somebody that wants to go a little deeper in your healing, maybe you suffer from workaholic addiction or a food addiction, or maybe some other kind of addiction, or maybe you're somebody that just wants to find your passion, connect to your purpose, and just experience a real superhuman life. And if so, the Tribe, my organization, has just started. You can learn about it. I'm going to put a link in the description here. We're offering a $1 trial to a membership that offers bi-weekly coaching, bi-weekly conscious connection games, these really fun and playful games where you get to connect with other human beings. We've got authentic networking events. There's one happening just tomorrow. And you can try the membership for just $1. If you don't like it, you can cancel anytime. If you decide to stay, well, you can learn about that in the link in the comment section here. Our mission is to inspire people to evoke their inner superhuman rock star warrior selves. Because I don't believe that I'm a human being. I believe that I'm the higher self pretending to be Ricky Goodall. I'm the higher self pretending to be human. God, creator, conscious universe, whatever you want to call it. Pretending to be this character, this identity I show up as Ricky Goodall. And so our mission at the Tribe is to inspire you to connect to that greater part of yourself so you can find your purpose and passion and change the world in your own unique and special way. So let me know in the comment section, have you struggled with workaholism? And if you'd like to check out the Tribe, check out the link that I shared, or just go to www.thetribe.me. You can learn a little bit about what we do. And again, you can try us out for a month. If you don't like it, cancel. It's fine. We won't keep you there. But we even have a free online community support app. It looks like Facebook, except it's nothing like it. We post daily self-coaching questions to keep you motivated, inspired, grateful, and feeling good about your life. So check that out in the comment section as well. Thanks very much for watching, everyone, and have a great night. Be sure to get some rest, have some fun, take time for play, and get the most out of life. That's what it's all about.